Good morning. I am Peter Chapman, Chief Executive Officer of IonQ, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to IonQ's annual meeting of stockholders. As provided in the company's bylaws, I will act as chairperson of this meeting. I have asked Stacy Giamalis, our Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary, to record the minutes of this meeting. Before proceeding further, let me introduce the directors and officers of the company who are with us today. Craig Barrett, Robert Cardillo, Catherine Chow, Niccolo Damasi, Jungsang Kim, William Scannell, Inder Singh, Wendy Thomas, Harry Yu, Thomas Kramer, Chief Financial Officer, Stacy Giamalis, Chief Legal Officer, and Jordan Shapiro, Head of Investor Relations and Vice President, Financial Planning and Analysis. Also with us today are Anthony Calderazzi, representing Ernst & Young, LLP, Mark Fitzgerald and Roz Lynch, representing Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich & Rosati, Professional Corporation, our outside counsel, and Jonathan Holland, representing BetaNext Median, our Inspector of Election. I will now turn the meeting over to Stacy Giamalis.
Good morning. The annual meeting is being held in accordance with our bylaws and with Delaware law. During the meeting, we will address the matters described in the company's proxy statement dated April 25th, 2024. Balloting will be completed, an announcement will be made regarding the preliminary results, and then the meeting will be adjourned. During the meeting, questions should be restricted to the procedures for the meeting and the proposals under consideration. Only questions that are relevant to an agenda item to be voted on by stockholders will be answered. Thank you for your understanding. I have proof by affidavit that notice of this meeting has been duly given and that the notice of annual meeting of stockholders was mailed on or about April 25th, 2024, to all stockholders of record at the close of business on April 15th, 2024, the record date for this meeting. The affidavit, together with copies of the notice, proxy statement, and proxy, will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. We have appointed Jonathan Holland, a representative of BetaNext Median, to act as Inspector of Election for this annual meeting. The Inspector of Election has signed an oath of office, which will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. The Inspector of Election has advised me that we have present virtually or by proxy a sufficient number of shares to constitute a quorum. Therefore, this meeting is duly constituted and we may proceed with business. Does anyone have any questions regarding the voting procedures? The first item of business is the election of Class 3 directors. This item is discussed on page 20 of the proxy statement. 2 Class 3 directors will be elected at today's meeting. The company's board of directors is divided into 3 classes, each with a 3-year term. The Class 3 directors will be elected at today's meeting. The 2 nominees receiving the highest number of votes of the shares present in person or represented by proxy at this meeting and entitled to vote will be elected as directors. Directors elected at today's meeting will hold office until the 2027 annual meeting of stockholders or until their successors are duly elected and qualified. Stockholders do not have the right to accumulate their votes in the election of directors. As indicated in the company's proxy statement, the following 2 individuals are nominated by the board of directors to serve as Class 3 directors: Peter Chapman and William Scannell. The proxies solicited by the board of directors will be voted in favor of these nominees. Are there any questions concerning director elections? The second order of business is the advisory vote on the approval of compensation of our named executive officers, more commonly known as the Say-on-Pay proposal. This item is discussed on page 21 of our proxy statement. Our board of directors recommends a vote for the approval on an advisory, non-binding basis of the compensation of our named executive officers for the year ended December 31st, 2023, as disclosed in the proxy statement. Are there any questions concerning the say on pay proposal? The third order of business is the advisory vote on the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on compensation of our named executive officers. This item is discussed on page 22 of the proxy statement. Our board of directors recommends a vote to hold future advisory votes on named executive officer compensation every 1 year, as disclosed in the proxy statement. Are there any questions concerning this proposal? The next item of business is to ratify the appointment of Ernst & Young as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. The Audit Committee of the Board of Directors has appointed Ernst & Young as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. If the stockholders do not ratify the appointment of Ernst & Young as the company's independent registered public accounting firm, the Audit Committee may reconsider the appointment. The Board of Directors recommends that stockholders vote in favor of the proposal, and the proxy solicited by the board will be voted in favor of this proposal. Are there any questions concerning the proposal? Okay, it is now 10:10 a.m. Eastern on June 5th, 2024, and the polls are now open. Any stockholder who has not yet voted or wishes to change their vote may do so by clicking on the voting button on the web portal and following the instructions there. Stockholders who have sent in proxies or have voted via telephone or internet and do not want to change their vote do not need to take any further action. Now that everyone has had the opportunity to vote, I now declare the polls for the IonQ Inc. 2024 Annual Stockholder Meeting closed. The proxies and ballots will be tabulated by the Inspector of Election. Based upon preliminary information provided by the Inspector of Election, I can report that, with regard to Proposal 1, the two nominees who received the highest number of affirmative votes were Peter Chapman and William Scannell. Each of these individuals has therefore been elected as a director of the company to hold office until the 2027 annual meeting of stockholders or until his successor is duly elected and qualified. With regard to Proposal 2, the compensation of our named executive officers for the year ended December 31st, 2023 has been approved on an advisory basis. With regard to Proposal 3, the frequency of future stockholder advisory votes on the compensation of our named executive officers of every 1 year has been approved. With regard to Proposal 5, the ratification of the appointment of Ernst & Young to act as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024 has been approved. We will be reporting the final vote results in a Form 8-K to be filed within 4 business days of this meeting. We also note that we have received a number of questions before and during the meeting, and we will address many of these business questions in our next earnings call. I will now turn the meeting back over to Peter Chapman.
This annual meeting of stockholders is now adjourned. We thank you for your attendance today and your continued support. Thank you and have a great day.